Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 20 career mode here for our second season in MotoGP. And this episode we've got the Japanese Grand Prix, I believe, but we have got a week before that, so we'll have to advance forward this week, and then I think there's some things to deal with on the Moto 3 junior team front. So if we go across to that, yes, the team development has now completed on the riders, so we've got 6 things left that we can potentially upgrade. We've got enough credits to upgrade all of them, I think. These are all reliability here, and these are all abilities limit, this one here. So if I want to increase the abilities, I need to do these. And this one is experience gain. So I'm not really sure which one to go with here. This one's going to take 12 weeks, of course. So it might make more sense to get the 4 weeks one out of the way first, and then move on to the 12 weeks. Because we're getting 2 gains, we're getting some gains a little bit quicker then, and still doing it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to go for the nutritionist here. So that's 125,000 credits. So that takes us down quite a bit there, but that'll take 4 weeks to complete now. So nothing else I can really do on here. I don't think I can do any more R&D. No, I can't in a minute, so we're going to have to wait a little bit for that. So let's have a look at the championship then, how it is shaping up now. So in the previous episode, we managed to win the Riders' Championship ahead of Marc Marquez. We wrapped it up at the Chang International Circuit in style with a victory, and from really far down the grid. I think it was 17th on the grid we actually started in the end because of a glitch in qualifying, but I'm not going to go on about that again this episode. I know I didn't shut up about it in the last one, so I'm not going to make that same mistake. But Jack Miller had a fantastic performance, whereas Fabio Quartararo was absolutely nowhere, which has allowed Miller to jump up into 3rd in the championship. Quartararo himself now down in 4th place, with Maverick Vinales in 5th position, only 2 points back of his teammates. So it is really hotted up, and the lead Petronas Yamaha, Valentino Rossi, is not totally out of it yet. So if he has a good last 4 races of the season, he can still be in the scrap for 3rd, but really he's more in the scrap for 6th with Dovizioso and Rins behind him. Moving on to the Teams Championship then, we can in fact wrap it up at this episode. We're only 2 points away from wrapping it up in the previous episode. It was extremely close, so if either Mir or Rins had done a little bit better, then we potentially would have wrapped it up. But this time, we should be able to do it fairly easily. We just don't have to lose. We basically just need to score points. If we score 2 points as a team, I think we win. So that should be fairly achievable. Even if I crash or something, one of the other two should pick up some points. So it looks like we're going to win the Teams Championship in this one, ahead of Repsol Honda. And again, between Honda and Yamaha, it's pretty close. So you got to watch out. A lot can still change in these last few races. And in the Constructors Championship then, we actually wrapped that one up in the previous episode as well. You can see 112 point lead, 100 points left up for grabs. So the only championship still to play for is actually the Teams Championship, which of course looks like we're going to wrap it up this race at Motegi, which in the past has been a really good stomping ground for myself there. So let's head into the weekend and let's see how we get on in qualifying 1. So then here we are at Motegi for qualifying 1. You can see it's nice and sunny here, which definitely is going to play into my favour a little bit, that's for sure. Because if we had a wet weekend, the AI actually probably would stand a bit of a chance. Although I'll probably still struggle to get through to qualifying 2 now I've said that. And I forgot to mention earlier that I'm actually using a different mic now, so hopefully it's a little bit better than the previous one. I've been using the last one for about the last 5 years, so it was time that I got a new one. I think this one is a bit better. There's no hum in the background or anything like that, so I'm hoping that it is an improvement, but do let me know in the comments below. But anyway, let's see who's in this qualifying 1 session with us then. So we've got Brad Binder, Franco Morbidelli, Francesco Bagnaia, Kyle Crutchlow, Ika Lecuona, Takaki Nakagami, Danilo Petrucci, Aleix Spagro, Jorge Martin, Jean Zarco, Tito Rabat, and Alex Marquez. So that's who we've got in this session then. So let's go into qualifying 1, sorry, let's try and get into qualifying 2. Let's go straight out onto the track. So it's always the same riders in this session with me, it seems, every single time. It's a little bit scripted, unfortunately. I think that's just the way I've done the performance in this mod, unfortunately. There we go, bit of a wheelie out of the last corner. Coming up towards the line then. As we go over the line, start our first lap here at Motegi. In the past, we've had pole fairly easily here, if I remember correctly. Like, I'm sure we've done it on basically the first lap the last couple of years, if I'm not mistaken. I think we got pole here on the Tech 3 KTM, because I think that's the race where we backed up the pack quite a lot. Obviously not as much as we did at Valencia, but this is the race where I could actually kind of back them up, but they were just so slow that I couldn't deliberately hold them up. That's the thing. So 2 tenths underneath whoever's currently fastest in the first sector almost, so 1.8 tenths, but very close to 2, almost 2 tenths. As we go through turn 5, we actually ran a little bit wide, but not as wide as you can run, so it's not too bad. If we wheelie out of turn 6 up towards turn 6, wheelie out 5 up towards 6. Flick it over for the left of 7. Gone in very, very wide, but now nearly 3/10 underneath whoever's currently fastest. So as we go through the S-curve on the power, the bike is actually feeling lovely at this circuit. Some of the other ones I've struggled to gel with it a little bit, but this one, it feels absolutely amazing right now. It feels like a knife through butter, except obviously the wheelies, but we didn't upgrade the anti-wheelie at all this season, so what can you expect? So we hit the brakes then for this right-hand of the hairpin curve, so we've run a little bit wide. We've got to try and get the cut back almost off the front there, so actually we probably lost quite a bit of time. Another wheelie, yes we have, we lost so much time there. We're not even 2/10 underneath anymore. Or, you know, about 1.5 again now. So if we go down towards the 90-degree corner, braking fairly early, but you don't want to brake too late because it's so easy to go in wide. You just lose so much time because you just can't get on the power if you go in so wide. You need to get the bike completely stopped virtually to actually get on the power. If we go towards the final chicane, obviously I've made a lot of mistakes here in the past. Through victory corner then, slide in the rear end, up towards the line. Is this going to be fastest in qualifying 1? Will this get us straight through to qualifying 2? 1:45.3. That is currently top of this session, but we'll have to see if that stays at the end. So then, yes, at the end of that session, it was good enough for us to go through into qualifying 2 ahead of Franco Morbidelli in second place, almost 3/10 in it, so a fairly easy lap there, to be honest, because you're never usually faster than AI on the first flying lap. Well, I'm not anyway. I'm usually very slow on my first flying lap, so pretty good performance there. So let's head into qualifying 2 and try and grab that pole position. So here we are then in qualifying 2. We're up here with the front boys now. We actually got through this time, no glitches or anything like that keeping us out of qualifying 2. So let's head straight onto the track and see if we can do a flying lap that would get us on pole position. So the lap times will be a bit quicker by the AI. Obviously we only beat Morbidelli by 3/10, so it will probably be fairly close, but that was not a perfect lap by any means. There was a lot of time on the table. As you saw, I went through the hairpin curve extremely wide. We've done a bit of a wheelie out the final corner here, so it's not going to be an ideal start to the lap. Someone's coming out the pits as well, so we hit the brakes for the first corner. It is Andrea Dovizioso coming out the pits in front of us. I almost washed the front out actually through the first corner. I felt it start to go there to release the brake. Out this corner then, down towards the second turn. Since we hit the brakes, actually this is the third turn, isn't it? The first one is sort of like 2 corners per, well it is 2 corners, it seems like 1 long corner though, that's what I meant to say. But anyway, enough about my terrible commentary right now. 18 thousandths underneath whoever's currently quickest, so we're still going fastest in the first sector. So we hit the brakes then for turn 5. We've gone in so wide, hop, skipping and jumping on the way in there as we try and catch us to the back of Andrea Dovizioso. So not an ideal line through turn 5 at all. As we come up towards turn 6, 130R, Dovizioso goes through it a bit wide. I go through it a little bit wide on the exit as well. So following Dovi's line 7 thousandths of a second underneath now, so we've got quite a bit of time in that section. Dovi, I know he's obviously not right in front of me, but he's putting me off. He's holding me up, that's for sure. It's a little bit unfortunate, but obviously he's on a flying lap himself, so he has no actually he's not on a flying lap actually, so he probably should have got out of the way, but it's AI in the MotoGP game. They're not going to get out of your way when they're on an out lap. We've done a massive wheelie, and he's actually pulling away quite considerably now. We've not done that sector at all well, so we're definitely going to be not red anymore. There's no way we'd still have kept that red sector. Another wheelie out of here, yeah, 4/10 down. We lost so much time in that sector. It was an absolutely appalling sector, and the tyres get extremely warm, so it's not going to be quite as easy as it was in qualifying 1, I don't think. As we go down towards the 90-degree corner now, then we close up to Dovizioso again, trying to get on the power. And the bike is just wheeling so much when you try and get on the power. I think that is the problem. So here we go then, through turn 13, flicking it over for victory corner, trying to get on the power again. The bike trying to wheelie out of the final turn because we've got no anti-wheelie upgrades on it really. As we come up towards the line then, it's going to be 45.5, that's currently 3rd place. We're going to have to keep going and go for another lap. So coming out the final corner then, are we going to be able to get it up towards the line? We've actually managed to keep the front wheel fairly well down as we come up towards the line. Is this going to be pole position? 1:44.7, nearly 6/10 underneath Jarmir's time, so yes, that is good enough for pole position. We're going to run out of fuel. Lots of crashes going on here. Fabio Quartararo has now gone down, and then during that lap, both Rossi and Morbidelli went down, so not sure what's going on with the AI here. Rins is now down as well, so some glitches going on, but so hopefully at the end of the session that should still be pole position. Let's see what it is. So yes, at the end of the session then, that was good enough still for pole position, but shockingly actually, Jarmir ended up still in 2nd position, ahead of Valentino Rossi in 3rd, so not really 2 guys I expected to be on the front row, although Rossi was very, very fast in the previous race as well. The 2 factory Yamahas are really far down the order in 8th and 9th positions. And then obviously there's the 2 Repsol Hondas in 4th and 5th, and 6th and 7th is the 2 factory Ducatis. Rins a bit off the mark there in 10th position, and Oliveira and Morbidelli, something going on with those 2 there. They kind of need to fix this glitch where someone is a million miles off, so 9 seconds off from Morbidelli there, and 2 seconds off for Miguel Oliveira. So that's it for now for the MotoGP class. Let's head into the Moto3 class and see how my junior team got on in qualifying and how they're going to get on in the race. So then we've got Daisy Jackson in 12th place and Manuel Hernandez in 10th. So once again, they are getting the qualifying objective, which is absolutely fantastic. The last 3 or 4 races, now they've managed to do that, which is really, really good because previously they were struggling quite a bit to do that. So both of them then inside the top 12 in qualifying, if I actually did read Daisy Jackson's correctly, because I didn't actually get a proper good look at it, to be honest. So Manuel Hernandez in 10th position, so he will be the lead rider off the grid. We've got the 5th position in the Teams Championship at this point in time, but it's by no means secure. The Snipers team behind could definitely take a fight back, so we need some good results. So hopefully Hernandez and Jackson can try and get into the... Well, Hernandez is already in the top 10, but hopefully Jackson can get to the top 10 as well, and they can try and get some decent positions. So then here we are watching Daisy Jackson as we're getting ready for the start of the race. Antonelli on pole, but lights out, away we go. Arbolino second, so they actually do need to get a really good start. Jackson's had a pretty decent start there. I'm not sure about Hernandez. He's not quite had a good a start as Jackson, and Jackson's already passed him into turn 1. So actually Hernandez is still 10th, but Jackson is now up to 9th place. So Jackson's had a fantastic start. Hernandez now down to 11th. There's a crash. Fenati in the middle of the pack. He's taken out Kaito Toba as well. He went on the outside of the... Oh, massive accident there. It's only those 2 riders down, it looks like. But Kaito Toba's bike took a massive smash there. Meanwhile, Hernandez is battling with Darren Binder, so he's back up into 10th position after that crash for Romano Fenati. But Fenati went wide on the grass, had a massive high side back into the middle of the pack. How only Toba hit him and how no one hit Toba's bike, I do not know. But it seems like most of the grid has got away from that. Of course, unfortunate for Kaito Toba there. But he's not my rider, so we're going to focus on our team now. So Hernandez going around the outside of Andrea Mino, and they go 3 wide through 130 yard. Hernandez now goes back past Jackson, so again, like in the previous race, they are now battling. It seems like Hernandez is really starting to get more on terms with his teammate. Around the outside he goes, flicking up the inside. Ooh, almost a bit of contact there. So once again, like in the previous race, they're going side by side. I don't know if I can take it once again. Hopefully they don't cost each other any positions this time. Around the outside goes Hernandez. Looks like Hernandez has probably got it now. He's on the power a little bit earlier than Jackson. He goes on the grass. He goes on the grass. What is he doing? That was so close to a Fenati incident. Luckily, he didn't high side or anything. He didn't even lose the rear, to be honest. There's obviously quite a bit of grip out there on that bit of grass. It looks like Mino's looking around the outside, but Mino couldn't quite pull it off, so they're slotted into 8th and 9th positions as it stands as they go down the straight towards the 90-degree corner. There is a Leopard bike making a move just in front. It is Dennis Fodger, actually. I think Fodger has just gone past Arbolino. So Arbolino, once again, starting second in this race, but it's already dropped down right in front of our 2 riders, so hopefully they can try and pass Arbolino fairly easily, because we are, of course, battling that team in the Teams Championship, the Snipers team. We overtook them in the previous race, but we need to try and hang on to it. So Jackson is on a bit of a charge right now to close to the back of Arbolino, but a good start from both riders. Arbolino looking behind. McPhee as well was on the front row. He's dropping down, so quite what it is with these Moto3 riders, why some of them qualify well and then just drop back. Doesn't seem to make much sense if you ask me, but they tip it in to this right-hander then of turn 1 and turn 2. It's more like 1-1 corner if you ask me. I would probably consider that 1 corner, but it's classed as 2. And Jackson is close up to the back of Arbolino, but crucially, she's actually been caught by Hernandez behind. So Hernandez, I think, actually probably has the pace at the circuit over Jackson, but unfortunately he just got a really poor start, and then obviously he went on the grass trying to repass her. Oh, here comes Jackson. Jackson's looking for a move on Arbolino through 130 yard. That was risky, but around the outside she goes now. Up the inside to turn 7. Is she going to pull it off? Oh, not quite. So she's going to have to sit behind Arbolino for a little bit longer there. McPhee has now lost the position to Forger in front as well. So it looks like Arbolino is catching up to the back of McPhee. So there could be still a couple of positions up for grabs for both of my riders there. Obviously Jackson and Hernandez right behind Arbolino, who is now right behind McPhee. So there could be a couple of places up for grabs here. Arbolino looks like he's getting a slipstream on John McPhee down and straight towards the 90-degree corner. Obviously very tricky to make a pass here because it's so easy to outbrake yourself. And it looks like Jackson's trying to get on the action, so Arbolino's going to the inside to try and pass McPhee, but that might compromise his line, and Jackson is looking for a way around the outside, but she couldn't quite do it. Here we go though, into this left-hander. Is she going to be able to stick it up the inside? Not quite, unfortunately, so they are stuck behind Arbolino a little bit, it does seem. But here comes Hernandez. Hernandez is looking for a move on Daisy Jackson. He's on the inside, he's pulled it off. So Jackson moves down to 9th, Hernandez back up into 8th, but Jackson's still hanging it around the outside. They're going side by side again. So the last couple of races, they've been battling so much. It looks like Hernandez is definitely on par with Jackson at this point. So as we go into the right-hander then, Jackson just ahead of Manuel Hernandez. Out of this corner we go, up towards 130R once again. And it looks like, again, Hernandez looking for on the inside. Oh, he's touching the back of Daisy Jackson, and they're now losing so much time once again. Jackson on the inside, Hernandez on the outside. Hernandez trying to find a way through. I think Jackson should let Hernandez go here because just defending against it is costing them so much time. They've completely lost touch to Tony Arbolino now. It is getting a little bit silly in the last couple of races that they've been battling quite a lot, but it seems like they're both finding the limits of their bike. We'll have to have a look at their stats. Their stats must be fairly similar at this point. Obviously, starting the season, Daisy Jackson had clearly better stats, but it seems like maybe Hernandez over the course of the season has learnt, and he's now sort of on a par with her. So as they start the penultimate lap then, it looks like Jackson's close back up to the back of Arbolino, so fortunately it doesn't seem to have completely ruined their chances, but they definitely will have worn out their tyres a little bit with that battling. I'm just hoping that Hernandez doesn't now drop back, because he's dropped off the back of Jackson a little bit here. So maybe Jackson has got slightly better pace in clean air, but it's just when she was stuck behind Arbolino, it allowed Hernandez to close up and try and make a move. But Jackson, hopefully she could try and make a bit of a pass on Arbolino, because we've had this the last couple of races where they've been stuck behind someone for basically the entire race. Even though they've been quicker, they just haven't been able to make the move anywhere. So then, as we start the final lap, it looks like Hernandez has dropped so far back off of Jackson now. He doesn't look like he's in any threat of Mino, because Mino is still the same gap behind he was before at the start of the previous lap. So Hernandez looks like he's going to settle for this 9th position, but Jackson could still be on the charge for 7th-ish. Just needs to try and find a way past Arbolino. So here we go then, Jackson side by side with Arbolino down towards the 90-degree corner, but she's just a little bit too far back, so they weren't quite actually alongside. I did kind of misread that, but looks like Jackson's not going to quite be able to pass him then as they go towards the end of the lap. They go through the penultimate, then flicking it over for the final turn. Arbolino is going to hang on for 7th position. Antonelli sets the fastest lap on the final lap there. But as we go towards the line, then we're going to end up in 8th and 9th positions, just behind Tony Arbolino, unfortunately, but we should still outscore the Snipers team regardless. So then, in the end, of course, Niccolo Antonelli did win. Fastest lap, 1 minute 59.3, a lot quicker than my two riders down in 8th and 9th positions. Obviously, Jackson getting 8th, 9th then for Hernandez. So they both gained positions. I don't know what happened to Fenati. Did he manage to bring him out? No, he didn't. Sergio Garcia also went down. So I think potentially Garcia was sort of caught up in that collision with Romano Fenati. I'm not sure what happened to Toby. Managed to get back up to 25th. So fair play to Kaito Toby. Managed to get past quite a few riders then after being crashed on the first lap. So in the Riders' Championship, Vietti actually moves ahead of Mino. So the two Sky VR46 Racing riders pretty close, although that's quite a big gap that he's pulled on him there, because he's 13 points in front as it is. So he's only just overtaken him, and he's now 13 points in front. So that's actually quite interesting. They must have been virtually level on points before that, because that's quite a big gap to pull out as you've overtaken somebody. My rider still sat in 11th and 12th in the championship. Unfortunately, Jackson wasn't able to beat McPhee in this race, so that's pretty much the chances of that 10th position gone. There's a bit too big of a gap there, unfortunately. Of course, they did beat Alonso Lopez, but Lopez is just too far in front to be caught by both McPhee and Jackson. Potentially, actually, McPhee could do it because he's as far away from Lopez as he is Jackson. So if we're saying that Jackson's still got a shot at beating McPhee, McPhee's definitely still got a shot at beating Lopez. But I think that is sort of fading away now. I think it is going to end up 11th and 12th in the championship. And in the Teams Championship then, we've got 8 points over the Snipers team. So we did just outscore them, I think, in that one. Obviously, with our 8th and 9th, probably added together still makes more than what Arbolino got for 7th. Either that or it's very, very similar. But it's still a really tight championship then for that 5th position. I'm not sure what's happened to Petronas Sprinter Racing, but they're absolutely nowhere near us now. Whereas before, obviously, we were battling with them quite closely. So it looks like we might be able to get this 5th place. 3 races to go. We've got to be careful to try and hang on to it. We can't start knocking points off each other like they were doing in the last couple of races. They need to calm down a little bit. But for now, we've got this 5th place in the championship. We've got an 8-point lead over the Snipers team. But that's it for the Moto3 race then. On to the MotoGP race now. Starting from pole position. We've got the championship wrapped up. We've got nothing to lose. Let's just go for the victory. So then, we're looking at Jean Mir in 2nd position. And now Valentino Rossi in 3rd. So, of course, I actually completely forgot. It's a Suzuki 1-2 on the grid here. So, hopefully, we could try and bring home 45 points for the Team Championship. Of course, this is what we're going to try and wrap up in this race. It's the Team Championship. But we only really have to score to do that. So, it's very, very likely that we will manage to pull off the Team's Championship. But it is still possible that we won't wrap it up if we have an absolutely appalling weekend. So, on pole position, I feel like it's been a while since we've actually been on pole position in this series. But my qualifying has definitely left a little bit on the table. It's not been very good, but at least at this round we've got the pole position. Mir is 2nd, so hopefully we can go for that Suzuki 1-2. But let's get this race started and sort of see how it pans out.
With the riders on the starting grid, the countdown begins until the lights go off. Just a few moments to go, and the Japanese Grand Prix will begin.
So then on that pole position, Marquez in 4th. He's probably the real threat in this race. He'll probably get through very, very quickly. But the lights are on now. We're waiting for the lights to go here at Motegi. The lights out, away we go off the line. I don't know what's happening with my fuel. Look at it. What is going on with the fuel? It's just jumped up to a few thousand and then dropped back down. That's completely distracted me. That's allowed Joe Mir to go up the inside into the lead of the race. We've got no grip. Rossi through to 2nd position. So Mir leads here at Motegi. Valentino Rossi in 2nd position. We've blasted back past around the outside of Rossi towards turn 3 then. We've got it a little bit wide though. Will that allow Valentino back in front? No, it's not. So it's a Suzuki 1-2 here, but it's being led by Joan Mir. The real-life 2020 world champion. Marc Marquez had an absolutely terrible start. He's battling Fabio Quartararo for 8th place. I saw him go around the outside into the first corner. I think he just went in super wide. We've gone a little bit wide here on the back of Mir. Vinales now past Rossi. Here we go. Up towards 130. I've got on the grass a little bit on the outside. So a little bit like in the Moto 3 race. My two riders are battling. Now me and Mir are battling, the two Suzuki boys. Well, 2 of the 3. Of course, there is 3 of us with Alex Rins as well. So through the S-curve, sliding that rear tyre towards this left-hand of the V corner here. Mir has got a bit of a lead. We can sort of let him get a little bit of a lead because we know we can hunt it back down. I just don't want to cost Mir any time. I want this 1-2 here for Suzuki. But around the outside we go as if he's standing still into the hairpin curve. So we take the lead then. Joan Mir is trying to cut back underneath us, but he's not been able to do it. So there we go. We've hit the front here at Motegi. 4 tenths already. Looking behind. We've absolutely left him out of that corner. We've got a beautiful exit. I think he had to sort of lift and not hit us. Marc Marquez back up into 6th position, I think, there. But he had a terrible start. He ran wide to the first corner trying to go around the outside of myself and Mir. I think it's because the fuel sort of distracted me so much. And it's now down to 3.9, so I need to definitely look after the fuel. I think I'm going to have to run power mode 0 to the end of the race because we seem to have been struck by some weird fuel glitch here. But luckily, it's after the championship is already wrapped up and at a circuit where I've got the pace. So we've got a 1-second lead by the end of the first lap. I've got to put my head down to see what I can do here. So at the end of the second lap then, what is the time? So 1 minute 44.9, pretty close to what we did in qualifying. 2.5 seconds now in the lead. And the fuel is still being really buggy. It seems to be just ticking up and ticking down. So I'm just going to keep it in power mode 0 to play it safe. So coming towards the end of the 4th lap of the race then, another fastest lap, 44.8. Let's see what the gap is this time. It's very big now. 5.6 seconds ahead of Joan Mir, so we can really cruise this to the end now. I've got an absolutely huge lead. You can see on the map as well that Mir and Paul Espargaro have pulled so far ahead of everybody else as well. So it's not just me pulling away, it's also some of the AI. I think this happened last year with Marquez and Dovizioso. I think those two pulled away from the rest of the pack with me. Well, I pulled massively ahead of them as well, but yeah, the AI are really strange with this circuit. So as we come out the final turn then, we're about to start the penultimate lap of the race. What's this lap time going to be? I don't think it's going to be quite as good as some of the other ones. 44.9, it's actually not too bad, only a 10th off from the fastest. Still at this point in the race. You can see the tyres are actually taking a bit of a beating. They don't usually get this worn in a career mode race, so that's quite interesting. Let's see what the gap is at. 9.3 seconds, absolutely huge lead. We're not going to quite beat the record we set at Misano. I think that was around 15 seconds we did there, but it's still an absolutely dominant performance here. We're going to easily break the 10-second barrier. Just the AI is so poor at some of the circuits. So as we're about to start the final lap of the race then, 1 minute 45.2, so not quite as good of a lap on that one then, into the 45s. I think we've only done about 2 45s all race. Be interesting to see what the gap is now. Sliding that rear tyre, we've got not really much grip left on the rear. 10.9 seconds, almost 11 seconds in the lead here. It has been a dominant display, very easy as well. Just been sort of cruising at the front. I've not been overly pushing or anything like that. I've quite enjoyed the race because Motegi on this game is fairly pleasant, especially on the Suzuki. Seems to be fairly smooth. I mean, this bike isn't great because it's obviously not upgraded. I feel like we're going to struggle at Phillip Island up next, that's for sure. We did last year on the KTM, and I think that probably will be the same here on the Suzuki as well. So I'm not expecting anything special from Phillip Island. But we were pretty good at Valencia last year, and of course we were very good at Sepang as well. So I'm hoping that we should be able to get those 2 victories. It'll be interesting to see how Phillip Island goes. I think in the previous classes we did okay, Moto 3 and Moto 2 there. So I'm hoping that we can try and actually finally get a MotoGP win there. But it obviously was a circuit where we struggled at quite a bit last year. So we come through the hairpin curve, then of course where we took the lead on the first lap of the race, round the outside of Joan Mir, as if he was standing still really. I didn't even expect to do it, I was just braking for it, just trying not to hit him at the back, and just sort of went around his outside and then just got on the power earlier than him and just blasted past him. It was a very, very easy move, really. But through the 90-degree corner, then we went very, very wide there. 12.5 seconds the gap now. Luckily, we didn't get a penalty for going on that bit of tarmac on the outside. But here we go, then into the final turn, out of victory corner, then sliding the rear tyre. We've done basically the whole race in power mode 0 as well. As we come up towards the line, then Alex Rins just loses the place. Alex Marquez ends up in 12th place. But it is a Suzuki 1-2 here in Motegi. So then, in the end, we won by 12.3 seconds ahead of Joan Mir in second position. Pol Espargaro in third place. Fourth place then for Valentino Rossi. Fifth for Jack Miller. And Marc Marquez never really recovered past that sixth place and ended there. So after that first corner where he ran a bit wide, he just didn't really have the pace. He was close to the back of Mir, only 7/10 off of him. So he was pretty close to Miller in front as well, only a 10th back. But for Marquez, he wasn't quite quick enough in this one after that mistake at the first corner, of course. Quartararo ended up in 7th place and Vinales in 8th. So once again, Miller beating both the factory Yamahas, although they both beat the Vizioso. But Miller, obviously, is battling those guys in the championship, so he should move fairly clearly ahead of them. So in the Riders' Championship then, Miller is in third place, but only 5 points ahead of Fabio Quartararo, so not as far in front of him as I thought he would be. A further 3 points back is Maverick Vinales, and Rossi only 12 points back now, so he had a very good result there, that 4th position. So Valentino, he's not out of this yet. Valentino could still end up with 3rd in the championship. It's going to be difficult for him, 20 points in 3 races, but it's definitely possible. He could definitely give it a good go. We'll have to see where Joan Mir is now in the championship, still in 10th position. After that 2nd place in the race, a very, very good result for Joan Mir. And 3rd place, Pol Espargaro, is 9th in the championship as well. So the riders a little bit further down in the bottom of the top 10 doing pretty well in this race. Rins now tied on points with Pol Espargaro. So in the Teams Championship then, 197 points in front. We've done it. We've won the championship here at Motegi. So we've won all 3 championships now. The Teams, the Riders and the Constructors Championships for Suzuki. So absolutely dominant performance. Almost like in 2020, although they didn't quite manage to win the Constructors Championship in real life. Ducati managed to snatch that away from them at the final round of the season. But there's a bit of a gap starting to form now between Monster Energy Yamaha and Repsol Honda. Because, of course, Pol Espargaro and Marquez both beating both the Yamahas. But there's still not a massive amount in it. It's all to play for that 2nd position between Repsol Honda, Monster Energy Yamaha and Mission Winnow Ducati. But that's it for this race then, so let's head back to the career hub, see if there's anything else to do, and end off the episode there. I did actually forget to look at the Constructors Championship, not gonna lie, I completely forgot about it, but we now have 121 point lead in that championship. Of course, we wrapped it up in the previous one, but to be honest, it doesn't look like there's going to be many changes in that championship, because there's some quite big points gaps, really. Yamaha and Ducati perhaps could swap around a little bit, but yeah, actually there's only 14 points in between those guys, so it's not a massive amount, but Honda are fairly clear of Yamaha, because they've got 30 points to catch up. That's quite a lot for the Constructors Championship, so, I mean, it's doable. You can basically negate most of that gap in one race if the one manufacturer gets unlucky, but it probably isn't going to happen, so really the fight to look for is 3rd and 4th in the Constructors Championship between Yamaha and Ducati. Everybody else is absolutely miles away. So KTM only 72 points, 1 point for Aprilia that they only got in that glitch Mugello race. So yeah, the Constructors Championship, not too close, quite a spread out championship really, if we're being honest. But now we'll head into the career hub and end off the episode. So then, this weekend was pretty good for the Reputation, of course, actually getting a decent qualifying position, no glitches this time. So we gain 6,500 from qualifying, 13,200 from the race. So in total we gain 19,700, which takes up to 705,800 Reputation points. And on the credits front, another really good weekend. 31,000 from my race, 80,000 from the Moto 3 race, which gives us 112,506, which takes us up to 885,967 credits. And then onto the Moto 3 team then, so 358 prestige gained in total, so another good weekend for the prestige. Obviously both of them getting on that 4th round qualifying, 39 prestige each, and then 8th and 9th in the race, 145 and 135. Which gives us 358. However, they didn't do a very good job of the bike development this weekend, only gaining 175 points, so once again we won't be able to upgrade any components on the bike. If Hernandez had actually done any of his bike development, because I think that means Jackson did one and Hernandez didn't, then we actually probably would have enough. But we're now back in the actual hub itself, and you can see the next one, it will be the Australian Grand Prix. It's right ahead. no notifications on either front here. We've only got 1 week left on the finances and the R&D though, so we'll definitely have to sort that out in the next episode. We'll definitely have to do some of the finances and the R&D, and as well for the team development, it probably won't be long till we're on the riders again as well. It's only 3 weeks left on that one now. But there is nothing else to actually do for this episode. We've got no notifications anywhere, so that pretty much brings this episode to a close. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that one. I actually quite enjoyed that race. It was quite a nice sort of front-running race for me. I'm sure it probably wasn't the most entertaining, but the Moto3 race should have been pretty good to watch, of course. Lots of battling once again, and again, between my two riders being very, very nerve-wracking for me. I'm just hoping they're not going to take each other out. Luckily, they didn't on either occasion so far, but it'll probably happen at some point, and I'm going to be very, very disappointed when it does, unfortunately. But I hope you guys did enjoy that one. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.